Yes, Rohan Patel comic book movie. Um, the Bad Batch is awesome, and so like you were here. I love how you. I mean, I grew up listening to your work, so you're voicing the entire Bad Batch in this, and so many other characters. So when you're recording, are you reading it straight through the script? Are you cycling through different characters? Are you taking like breaks between characters? How does that whole process sort of work?
We read straight through the script as that is scene by scene.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll read straight through it, jumping from character to character. If I need to, like if it's a pre-existing clone that I don't remember, like Rex, I remember. But even if it's like Cody or someone that I haven't uh, portrayed for quite a while, they'll play me that reference just so I get a lock on what it is about that guy that makes him who he is. Because I want to keep them all separate, but I also want to keep them consistent with what we've done before. So once I've got that kind of locked down, then we can just read through the scene, and then we go back and generally do 3 read throughs of a scene with maybe some spot checks on individual lines, and then we move on to the next scene, and that's how we do it.
Awesome. And so, like you touched on this a little bit, but when you're getting to these different headspaces, Hunter, Rex, everyone, I'm Cody, and then so when you're is there anything you do before you go into a recording session? It's like, is there like a playlist you listen to? Is it something like even like last year when before you're doing the first season, The Bad Batch? It's like, was there anything that you're listening to, or do you just listen to that sort of references from what you did before, and then try, or even like with original characters? Are you listening like I know like Hunter obviously looks like Rambo almost, so.
Yeah. Um, what we did, what we arrived at was this is that I usually associate an adjective or an image with the clone. And then I pin the performance on that. That's the hanger that I hang the coat on. And um, so I make sure that those are pinned down for each of them. You know, like Hunter is kind of a Hunter's kind of a smoky covered sound like that, and Tech is very clipped and very easy breezy, and Wrecker's Wrecker, and Crosshair is like a coiled snake, and Echo's a little bit grumpy, a little bit deeper, and so I have this like an adjective or two, or an image that I that helps me see each one as a different person, and then I can just read through it very easily.
Oh, that's so cool. And so like we've seen Rex in Clone Wars and we see him again in Rebels. And then here he's sort of like in the bridge between those two, like the person he becomes eventually in Rebels. So what is that sort of like what can you say exactly about how he reaches to that point, that version that with the grizzled version we see in Rebels where he sort of stepped away from the fight? It's like what can you tease about where he
Yeah.
goes through this season?
Well, Rex has kind of been through it all, hasn't he? And
Mm,
he is a he's a warrior. He's a good person. He is persistent, and um and he sees the power and value of his experience and what he knows and his capacities. And so he is an important sort of leading North Star bellwether for how the clones uh, perceive the larger political powers that are playing out. Because the question is, you know, as a soldier, you're part of of the armed forces, and you have respect and you have power and you have status, hopefully. But as it shifts and you have new management up top, then that changes completely. And he is one uniquely placed to see this. And his choice is to double down and to go back in and to fight the good fight. And so he's seen much more of this and understands much more of this than the Bad Batch, who are sort of they're unique, they're off to the side doing their own thing, but they're gradually waking up to the reality of what's playing out, that you can't just play this game in a short-sighted or selfish way, or even just to get along or just to hide, because there's nowhere to hide. It will find you. And so, what's the stance that you take with that reality? And Rex shows the way.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dee. I really appreciate it. It's great to
My
meet you.
pleasure. Good to talk with you.